There,
Got it.
we got it, Vida.
There we
The
are.
red button is on. Yes. Okay, I got to try not to hit my table because it's wonky, and then I.
Oh,
Okay. So today, I'm not even sure what today is.
July 28th.
July 28th, 2021. Thank you. Yeah, Kate thought it was the 29th, but we're somewhere
Oh,
between.
is it?
Or the 28th. No, Kate. I think Kate's a day ahead of herself. Okay. So I am Margaret Major, and I am a registered counseling therapist here at the After Trauma Empowerment Network in Scotia, Nova Scotia. And I'm joined with Ida Woodworth, who is co-host and chairperson on our board of directors. And Kate Matthews is also here. She's monitoring all the technical stuff. She's a technical director, as we call her. You may or may not get to see Kate. I do have a photo. I don't know if I have permission to share it, but we'll get to that.
We'll decide.
Yes. Okay, so before I do my check-in with you, Vida, I just want to say a big thank you to the Mental Health Foundation of Nova Scotia for their funding and support for this project, MAAT, that we're working on and doing every Wednesday. We just greatly appreciate their support and would like to extend thanks and gratitude to them. And now, as we always do, I'm going to do a diversity welcome, and then we'll do a check-in with Vida. And today, we're going to spend some time talking about burnout, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue. They're kind of all very similar, although there are some differences. And we'll just talk about that because burnout is a very important topic right now. Well, it always is, but even more so right now. There seems to be a lot of attention on burnout right now. So we'll spend some time on it. So first, I would like to welcome all women, men, transgender, and other identified individuals here today. I'd like to welcome everyone here who is a mother, father, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, cousin, son, daughter, grandmother, or grandfather. Welcome. I welcome people of all races, tribes, and descent. I welcome your bodies, your mind, and your energy. I welcome survivors and those who support them. I welcome all people married, single, partnered, dating, celibate, or involved in whatever sort of relationship is right for you. I welcome gay, lesbian, bisexual, heterosexual, queer, asexual, two-spirited, and others for whom none of the current labels fit. I welcome your emotions, your joy, your bliss, your anger, your disappointment, your happiness, your contentment. I welcome everyone's special way of understanding and knowing the world. Everyone's wisdom, whether it is education that has been learned in schools, colleges, universities, and or the deep and profound school of life. I welcome mystics, seekers, and believers of all kinds. I welcome people who identify as activists, community leaders, group members, musicians, artists, and those who don't. And finally, I'd like to welcome the ancestors who lived in this land where we are now. Welcome the spirits of Mi'kmaq, the natives who lived in this area before the Europeans came. I'd like to acknowledge them and invite their spirits to this place. Everybody, welcome, and thank you for being here. Okay. All right, Vida, how are you doing on this Wednesday overcast evening in late July?
just realizing that July is almost over, which is sad in one way, but I guess good in another, which means summer's almost halfway over. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I must make sure I get out and do a lot more things. And it's been busy this last week or so. Actually, I guess it's been almost 2 weeks since we've been on here. A lot of things going on in the world and a lot of things going on in all of our lives. I know both of you, Kate and Margaret, got to experience my first kayaking adventure. And I have to say, overall, it went extremely well. I enjoyed myself immensely. I did have a bit of an emergency towards the end and had to request assistance from kayakers, fellow kayakers, to get back into my kayak since I had fallen out of it. And I also then, after being towed by you, Margaret, and Daryl, back to the wharf and the little jetty thing that you get out of the water, then needed assistance to stand upright. And I was not consuming anything but Powerade and Pepsi. So someone did say afterwards that I might have been dehydrated, and that could be the case.
Yeah, it was a hot day.
I also probably shouldn't have made my first ever paddling trip in my life, as long as it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, so again, Daryl and Keith very kindly assisted me in standing upright. And thankfully, I was able to stay upright after that. And the next day I woke up, I wasn't very sore. So that worked out well. And I went golfing that next day. I've been spending a lot of time watching the Olympics.
Yes.
I've always been a big fan of the Olympics. And it doesn't matter. I do cheer for all our Canadian athletes. And I also love watching all of the sports and any of the countries when they're competing. And it's just, I think, really cool to see people, who've put a lot of effort into being the best they can be in a sport, to see it kind of come to fruition. And sometimes they win medals and sometimes they just, made it to the Olympics, which is a really, really big thing. And sometimes it's a personal best and sometimes it's all of those things. So I do enjoy seeing that kind of competition in all the different sports that we don't normally get to see. We were just talking before we came on air about Simone Biles, the gymnast from the United States, who, after her first vault in the team event, decided that it would be best for her to withdraw, even though it would mean, as one of their top gymnasts, that it could affect their standing. And she cited her mental health being one of the reasons why she needed to do that. Mm-hmm. And I was really sad to see a lot of people on TV and sports commentators and people on social media, very sad to see people who were not supporting her in doing that, because they felt strongly that it would affect the team's finish, and pretty much that it meant they wouldn't get a gold medal, and didn't seem to have a lot of concern for her as a person. And just today I was reading an example of in the 70s, there was a gymnast from Russia who broke her leg. And as they were going to be hosting the 1980 Olympics, which we ended up boycotting, she was forced to sort of take her cast off and start training much earlier than she should have. And as a result of that, during her training, she attempted a maneuver that's very difficult to do and missed her hand hold or whatever and ended up hitting her chin and broke her neck and became a quadriplegic. And she died. She was 20, I believe, or under 20 when this happened. And she died at the age of 46. So her coaches most certainly were not respecting her wish to not take the supports off her cast or whatever it was, and to stay off of her feet. They wanted to have as good a showing as they could because it was their home Olympics. The difference today is, I hope that when Simone Biles said, I don't think I can focus on what I'm going to be doing, which could be very dangerous, well enough that I might end up injuring myself. They respected that and allowed her to not compete. And I think, as people watching these sports and activities, we need to understand, this isn't just our entertainment, it's this person's life. And it could be this person's quality of life on the line if we ask them to perform when they're not 100% or when they don't feel they're able to perform. And I wish more bystanders and spectators would remember that. She put a lot of time and energy and effort into preparing for this event. And for her to say she felt she wasn't okay to compete, I think should be enough, more than enough, because I don't think she would have easily given that up. And so, every day we ask people to do things sometimes that is beyond what maybe they're capable of doing that day. And I think, even in workplaces and so on, and we're going to talk a little bit about burnout versus vicarious trauma and compassion fatigue and some of the other terms you might hear. Are we asking people sometimes to go beyond where they should be going? And do we hear them when they say, I think I need a break, or I think I need a rest, or I think I need to change some of the things I'm doing for now because I'm not 100%. It's a question, and I think it's come up, as you mentioned, a lot lately. And, I'm watching the Olympics, I think just reinforces that people need to they need to know that when they do speak up, they will be heard, and that their input is the most important input. And yeah, so that and my dear Montreal Canadiens, we were also talking about the draft and the fact that they drafted an athlete or a hockey player who had tried to remove himself from the draft because of inappropriate behavior. And I'm pretty sure he pled guilty to taking a photo of someone without their consent, and it was of a sexual nature. And yet, even though he asked not to be included in the draft, the Montreal organization ignored that and went ahead and drafted him. And it's created, I guess, another discussion about, why is it that we sometimes ignore behaviors when someone famous or someone we feel is important does it? And why do we, not think of it the same way as if it was somebody, just the average person? And why would an organization want to connect itself to something that serious? And anyway, I've been a Montreal fan my whole life, and I'm not sure where I am with this one, because it's not just one person made a bad decision. A whole group of people got together and allowed that decision to be made.
Mm.
And so what does that say about the organization overall?
Yeah, I
And
hadn't heard that story.
yeah, so, and I mean, and again, we have, it's 3,500 and some graves that have been found. This is the running total, I think. It's over 3,000 for sure. And, that's another thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And people are being, reminded of something that happened, in the past for those children. But there are also things happening day to day. There was a picture today of the Mi'kmaq fishery has commenced, and then there was a line of RCMP cars and Department of Fisheries cars, and I think there were 10 cars that I could see in the picture, under the supervision of. And so what does that say? When the fisheries start for other times and people, it usually doesn't require that kind of security. So it's probably still, for sure not safe for the Mi'kmaq fishers and so on. So it has been very busy when it comes to all the things, I guess, that we see day to day and think about. And as I was paddling down the river, sometimes I think about those things, but it was nice just to watch the dragonflies and the eagles that kept flying around and listen to the birds and so on. So I'm hoping people, as we ponder these big issues, find those smooth waters to paddle down and to relax on. Yeah. So, as usual, I've given you a long answer to a short question.
Oh, you give so many details though, Vida. You bring me up to date on things that I was unaware of.
Yes, I'm your Anderson Cooper of the North.
Thank you. Thank you. And there's lots of topics that you mentioned that we could just dive right into. And I mean, the first one that you started talking about with the mental health and people not supporting her stepping away from that's just very upsetting. That that kind of, well, it's disrespectful. It's where's the compassion? I mean, we know ourselves better than anybody. And
I'm sure her teammates supported her, and I think she feels that they have backed her 100%, that they know her to well enough and know what's going on. If she says she needs a break, she needs a break, and they wouldn't hesitate. And in the end, they won silver. And if I ever got to the Olympics, period, I would be over the moon. And if I ever got to touch a medal, let alone win a medal, I would be, I think, in orbit somewhere. I wouldn't need to have all the billions of dollars that Jeff Bezos and what's his name needed. But, they did the best they could with the team that they had that day, and they won a silver, and they supported their team leader. And I think that's wonderful. It's just, as a country and as people, we should also support her and any athlete or person who makes that decision and says, I've had enough, I need a break.
Yeah. And it kind of brings me to the question of how many athletes out there are maybe experiencing mental health issues in whatever capacity. And this would further prevent some people from coming forward or getting help, because you can get the backlash of lack of support that you can get from society.
It seems that there always has to be a serious incident or even a death. I'm thinking about concussions and in different sports, like, and in hockey and, in football. And now that we've learned that one concussion can be enough to forever change a person's brain and how it functions, and that for a lot of athletes in professional football in particular, we're seeing people that are, their behaviors are changing. They've stopped playing the sport. They're in retirement, and they start having things like becoming violent for no other reason, or their behavior is bizarre, or whatever. And now they are been able to identify that there are actual structural changes that happen in the brain when you have concussions. And depending on where in the brain is affected, it may affect how long that person lives, how they behave, how they think. And, that's the consequence of maybe 10 years of a professional career in a sport, or even less. It can be one trip onto the field and you get hit, and it's over. It forever changes your future. Yes, they get paid a lot of money, but I don't know if they realize always that they're not just signing up to have some arthritis and bumps and bruises, that there could be much more serious consequences.
Right.
And for our entertainment, really, it is. So, and the pressure, to get the scholarships to go to get an education, and then end up damaging your brain so badly you can't use that education, and you can't have your family around you because you're afraid of what you might do to them, or it's a big thing. And I think we need to try and look again as a society about what we see value in, how we want to be entertained, and do we want to be entertained at the cost of someone's life. Yeah.
Well said, Vida. You're asking such great questions, and it's like I just want to dangle on those for a little while. It's just the topic of concussions. That's a really important topic. And,
Yes.
And I mean, it's a lot different than 20 years ago from what we know now about concussion and brain damage. The long-standing impacts of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, in my time playing sports, when you got a concussion, you just walked it off.
I know.
And that was it, or if your ankle was turned the wrong way, oh, well, just take a few steps and it'll be all right.
Yeah,
Or
walk it off.
put some ice on it and get back on the field.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You can't do that with most injuries, and you most certainly can't do that with, if your brain isn't working right, or if you have a mental illness or a mental health issue. Things aren't working the way they normally work. You can't just put a bag of ice on it and expect it to go away.
No.
You need to do some other stuff.
And that's kind of a great leadway into our topic for today.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that a couple of people that have joined us may have already witnessed us do this topic, but that was the episode that Margaret forgot to hit record.
Yes.
And we missed it. So we're going to do burnout, vicarious trauma, and compassion fatigue again.
Yeah.
And Vida's batteries might run out.
Might run low.
So
I may disappear.
Yes, and we'll handle that if and when that does happen. Last time we thought it would for sure we'd lose her, but you hung in there right till I think 6:59.
I think
and
so.
then right at the last, minute, and maybe that'll happen again. If not, we'll deal with it. Yes.
Yeah. And if we all disappear, all of our batteries ran out.
Yes. And that could happen. Yes, batteries running out. That is burnout. Yes.
There, look, it's just images and stories. We're just guiding it all in there, Margaret.
I know, Vida. You'd think we had a director.
Yes.
Standing right in between us, helping pull this off.
It's really Kate flashing flashcards with all
Well,
this knowledge.
that's what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get her with the, what do you call those things?
Oh, the clapper thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the clapper thing.
That's
One of
its
those.
technical name.
The clapper.
Oh, that was the clap on, clap off.
Yes. We should do an advertisement show sometime.
We should.
And just I don't know if there'd be copyright on advertisements, would there?
I don't
Would we be able
know.
to show some ads on here and not get
We could-
caught by YouTube?
I don't know. We could do versions, our own versions of them,
That would be good.
using finger puppets.
Yes. Oh, I don't know if I should say this or not. The one that popped into my mind was it's a MAAT commercial, and it's the young fella grabbing his keys to head out of the door, and his pack of rolling papers starts talking to him.
Yes, yes.
You're not thinking of driving, my friend.
Yeah, yes. I know, and I often wondered if you watched that commercial and you were actually using
Substance.
marijuana,
Yeah.
would it have a whole different meaning to that person versus someone watching it who wasn't using it?
Yeah, that's a great question too.
Yeah, it could be an experiment, a
Yeah.
thesis paper.
Yes, we'll get Kate in on it for sure.
Yes.
She can work that into her first semester in
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
We'll concoct an experiment
There
with
we
all the
go.
ethical guidelines in place, of course.
Yes.
Don't put anyone at risk.
No, 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 no.
Okay, so do you want to start with burnout,
Sure.
and then we'll just go into compassion
Yeah.
fatigue? They're kind of all different,
very-
but they're very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on my handout, it's and Bida, please add what you have, because when we originally did this, you had a lot of really great stuff to say about burnout.
And I
You
have
can-
had several concussions in my lifetime. So I hope I
Okay.
can remember some of them if they're appropriate. Yes.
Okay. I know you'll do a great job. So burnout has been described as a syndrome of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment that can happen with any individual, whether you work with people or not, and try to correct it. Burnout is not a big breakdown. It can be subtle and cumulative over time. So it's not like one big thing causes you to burn out. It can happen over weeks, months, and years. Just, I'll find the strength to get through today. And you try and you try, and then you go to bed and you wake up even more tired than when you went to sleep. And those can be indicators that there might be some imbalance in your life, and you might be experiencing or getting close to experiencing burnout. And we'll come back to like the signs and symptoms. But compassion fatigue is referred to as the cost of caring. So compassion fatigue is the profound emotional and physical erosion that takes place when we are unable to refuel and regenerate. So by the cost of caring, it's like you run out of compassion and you lose compassion even for yourself. And it's very close to burnout. And often those terms, compassion, fatigue, and burnout, are used interchangeably. There is just subtle differences. And then vicarious trauma is I forget the definition that I read to you by that. What I'm looking at is actually for compassion fatigue. So
Oh,
vicarious trauma is when you've been exposed to um, stories of another person's trauma, and you listen and you hear and you witness um, those stories, and over time, the for vicarious trauma, it's like you experience some trauma symptoms, if not all trauma symptoms, as a result of having witnessed or heard other people's stories of trauma.
mhm.
So you
Yeah,
you haven't necessarily experienced it directly, you're experiencing it vicariously through others.
yeah.
Yeah. So I just would like to let you talk for a minute, Rhonda, about
Mhm.
burnout and what you know about burnout and what you want to share.
Yeah, I think um, it's several things, I guess, from a personal perspective, is having, I think, experienced burnout. Um, for me, it was things about my work that in of themselves wouldn't necessarily cause distress, but when you add them all together, in things where I felt kind of like helpless or hopeless and not heard, things that kept happening over and over in the workplace and that weren't working for me. And when I would ask, or not ask, but I would speak up about what was happening, and nothing seems to change. And so then I started to question, okay, well, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not as good as I used to be at doing my job, or maybe it's because I've had to learn this new thing. For example, computers sometimes for me are are confusing, and so I would put it down to I'm just not really good at using technology, and so um, I'm not as good at my job, and then I started to worry, well, I can't take time off to either figure it out or just maybe get some rest so I can, maybe be more on the ball with computers, because then they'll start thinking I really can't do my job. And so it was feeling like I'm on this never ending treadmill of
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up, I'm trying to catch up. And actually I felt like I was doing worse and worse and worse. And in the case of this, somebody had to sit me down one day and say, Vida, what's going on? And of course, I panicked because I thought, oh no, they found out that I'm not as good as I used to be. And that wasn't what they wanted to say. It was like, I'm concerned about you. You're not the person that you used to be when you come to work. And I'm wondering if you're feeling burnt out. and and of course, burnout was a topic that I often talk to other people about, and I would say to other people, make sure that you're not over getting too much and burning out. But when it's yourself, you're often the last person to try or to notice it or to identify it. And so in this case, I trusted the person who sat me down and said this, and I'm like, oh, and it was almost a relief, like that's what it is. Like now I know some of the things I can do to change it.
Yeah.
And so, because it was about me primarily, not resting, not eating well, uh, and the things that were happening at work that were frustrating. Um, I wasn't able to do anything. And so I was able to ask for and get the time and to be able to do the things I needed. And that, once I did those things, it took some time, but it most certainly did get a lot better. Um, and then for me, vicarious trauma in the work that I was doing, I was hearing other people talk about their traumas and their struggles and their abuse and their horrific experiences. And I was also adding in that, things I was watching on TV and the news, and world events and stuff. And so even though this wasn't happening to me directly, as you mentioned in the definition, I was witnessing it through their voices or through watching it or whatever. And so again, that starts to build up. And so the difference in how I thought was, it wasn't so much I'm not good enough. It was more like, oh, the whole world is messed up. Like all of this stuff happens all the time. And so I found myself saying, why do we even bother to teach people about, protecting themselves when it happens all the time anyway? Or why do we do this? Or why do we have a program for that? And so I wasn't just including myself anymore and being inadequate. It was kind of my whole worldview changed about how I saw things. And, I'd hear people when they found out that I worked at a sexual assault center automatically would jump to this, oh, that must be so awful, hearing those terrible stories. And for the good part of my work life, I would say, no, it isn't actually. It's, I find it very rewarding. And I love that I've met people who are so strong and brave and courageous that they've been able to find a way to get through whatever it was that happened to them, and that they've trusted me enough to tell me about it, and that I can be there to accompany them in a part of their journey to healing. But then all of a sudden, I realized I wasn't saying that anymore. It was like, yeah, I was thinking, I don't know why we bother doing this. It seems that every time somebody goes out the door and they're doing okay, there's somebody else coming in with another story. And that's when I realized that was what was happening, was all of it. I had no way to kind of unload it or put it somewhere where it wasn't affecting my whole life. So I was thinking about it at home and thinking about it when I was on vacation and when I was sleeping. And again, it permeated everything that I did. And it's again, somebody else noticed it more than I did. And so when they did, then I knew I had some choices to make about what I needed to do to help myself and to make sure that I was still doing my job the way I needed to do my job. But we don't always think about the caregivers. We think about, oh, I'm caring for someone who needs me, whether it's a medical illness, a mental illness, or just something that's happening and they need your help. We don't always think about helping people, when you're helping people and how their brain is working and how they're thinking as an important thing. So I mean, I've experienced both, and I hope I never experience either one of them again. And I would absolutely love to be learn as much as I can about both of them, because I think that as people, we owe it to each other to, especially with people and care about, if you see some of the signs and symptoms, that you do take that moment to sit the person down and say, I'm saying this because I care about you, and I wondered if you had noticed, and have a conversation. And if they, don't agree with you, then, don't run away. Find another time if it's continuing, and try and maybe approach it differently the next time, or just remind them, I already said this before, and I'm still noticing this. And try and find that way to help the person feel it and see it for themselves, and then help them if they need resources or they need someone else that can help them to find those people and those resources. And let them know, I am a person, if you need to talk, that you can talk to, or I can't maybe help you that way, but I know someone that I go to myself, and they have a lot of resources. Would you be open to getting those resources, or if I gave you their number, would you call them? So sometimes it takes a few attempts at helping someone, but just walking away isn't helpful. And it most certainly, if you care about somebody, it's not the caring way to handle things.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I would like to, I guess, just add a little bit to what you were saying.
Yes.
I've experienced both as well. Burnout, a few years ago, it was accumulation of personal life stresses going on, work related. I had health issues, and you just go into survival mode, and you get up every day and you do your routine, and you don't realize that you're getting very tired and
Hmm.
worn out, and then you stop doing your normal things that you would use to kind of replenish you. Like, I used to love going out and gardening, plucking weeds. I could pluck weeds for hours. Some people think I'm strange because I enjoy plucking weeds, but I stopped doing that one summer, and that wasn't necessarily the cue that I picked up on. It was a conversation with my doctor, when we were reviewing some of what I was experiencing, and he mentioned burnout. But for me, I was kind of in that zone of gotta get it done, and not sitting back and reflecting on the impact that all of this stuff out of my power and my control. And like you had mentioned about working at a sexual assault center, and people saying, "Oh, that must be terrible. Like, you must." And I absolutely relate to what you said, in that it is a privilege, really, to have people come and share some of their most difficult, most painful experiences. To be a witness to that is an honor and a privilege, as you've experienced too.
Mm.
And there are some days where you may hear something that you don't forget. You go home that night, and to me, there are some things that I, probably like Vida, have heard that, to me, it would be concerning if it didn't bother you.
Mm. Yes.
Some of the things that are happening out there in our real world, not just Hollywood. Um, and that's where we need our support networks. We need our people we can call, and we can say, "Hey, can you tell me a good joke today? Can you just listen to me for a few minutes?" We need our self-care. We need to
Mm.
pluck weeds if we enjoy doing that, or go and golfing
Hmm.
like you do. You go out
Yeah.
and golf, and that's part of your self-care. Right now, yeah, you don't golf
Yeah.
in February.
I'd like to.
Well, maybe you'll start that, Vida. You'll start
Yes. Winter golf.
winter golf. I'm sure it would catch on. So what I'd like to do is try screen sharing for a minute and just show the symptoms or signs. Okay, let me scroll down here for a second. How do I, whoa. Can you see that, Vida?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So that's, I wonder if I can move. Okay, let's do that. So these are some things that could indicate that you are experiencing extreme stress or burnout. If you have frequent headaches or aches in your back, your legs ache, your body aches, bodily aches. Indigestion issues or gastrointestinal, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, indigestion. Muscle twitches could be like spasms in your body. Sleep disturbances, and that could be either you're having disrupted sleep, you're having trouble falling asleep, you're having trouble staying asleep, or you're sleeping too much. It could be either way. You're not sleeping enough, or you're sleeping too much, but your sleeping is not kind of regulated. Cold and sweaty hands, physical tension in your body, like your jaw might be clenched. Some people clench their jaw and they're not even aware that they're doing it. And
dentists often point out that to you. Like, I remember my dentist saying, "Oh, you grind your teeth," and I was like, "No, I don't." And she said, "Oh, yes, you do." And I said, "No, I don't." She said, "Well, you must do it in your sleep." And that was the first time anybody told me that, that I obviously was grinding my teeth, and you have to clench your jaw to do that. And so she was the first one to kind of point out, okay, you have tension even when you sleep. And, it may not be the regular doctor, it could be your dentist that notices something about you that you didn't know, or you didn't realize.
That's right, Vida, because my dentist pointed that out to me. She asked me if I was a teeth grinder, and I said no. And she said, like you, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea I was doing that kind of damage to my teeth, and that I went to sleep with that much tension and grr.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sexual difficulties, that is definitely an indicator. Tremors, so that's shaking, could just be could be continuous. It could just be kind of a, what's the word? Not temporary, sporadic.
Mm-hmm.
Fatigue, so that's just lack of energy. You just don't have any energy. Shortness of breath, and that can usually be connected with the tension that we tend to hold in our body when we are feeling stress and we're not breathing properly. So our breath they're not deep belly breaths. We only breathe half breaths, which means our body is only getting half the oxygen that it needs, which also affects stress levels as well. So some psychological signs or symptoms are feeling trapped, feeling like you don't have any options. You can't make any changes. You can't have any kind of effectiveness in your work, in your personal life, maybe in your family, in regards to your health. You may feel trapped. And feeling overwhelmed is a huge, huge important indicator. Just feeling like I can't take one more thing, or I'm going to snap, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
That's overwhelmed. And I have said those words myself in my life.
Yeah,
I can't take one more thing. Yeah.
I used to wake up with almost like a feeling of dread, and that didn't matter if I was going to work that day or not. It was, oh, do I have to? Do I have to get up? Do I have to, make breakfast? Do I have to? And then when it came to work, when I was doing well, I would wake up and it didn't matter what I had to do that day. I was excited. I was looking forward to it. Sometimes a bit anxious, but generally it was a good feeling. And then when I noticed that the same job, all of a sudden, even though it might have been like a really interesting day normally for me, I was like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that. Or I wish, I could just go work by myself. Just, even little thoughts like that start to intrude in how you normally think about everyday things you do, or even exciting things like vacation. One year I remember I hated, I didn't want to go on vacation
Yeah.
because I had to do stuff. And it's like, I just want to
Yeah.
sit here and I don't want to do anything. Must have been really exciting for my partner of the time to have to spend that vacation with me. But yeah, it could be, the dread to do anything. And it might even be a fun thing that you're not looking forward to. So
Yeah. 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 That's usually a huge sign. If it's something
yeah,
that you used to love or you typically love, and all of a sudden, you're not wanting to do that. That's a pretty good sign.
yeah.
Yeah. Depression and anxiety, constant time awareness. There's a lot of people that are always looking at the clock. What time is it?
Yeah.
How much time have I got to do all this stuff that I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Dissatisfaction with self and life. It's a pretty low feeling when you're dissatisfied with yourself and with life. Memory loss, inability to concentrate, excessive worry. Those are all psychological. And then some behavioral signs or symptoms are increased drug, alcohol, caffeine, or tobacco use. When I was going through burnout, I smoked a lot more than I normally do.
Mm.
Appetite changes. So you may eat less or you may eat more. Same as sleep, it can go either way.
Yeah.
Irritability, don't look at me the wrong way. Don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just that unpredictability. Relationship difficulties, whether it's with a partner or family, friends, colleagues at work. You just find that everyone's getting on your nerves. Increased rushing around and attempting to do too much, and that's tied in with feeling overwhelmed. I'm not sure if we lost Vida or not. I think we may have.
Just a
hear you.
minute here. Here we go.
I hear
I'm
you.
back.
There
I'm
you
running
are.
out of oxygen. I was going to say,
Oh,
I'm running out of power.
okay. Well, we're at 6:54,
Okay.
so we're almost done, Vida. We almost made it.
We are almost finished. Well, I'm still here, I think.
You are. I see you and I hear you.
Okay, good.
I'm just going to go quickly over. So this is a list of methods of self-care. This is one really, probably the most important part of preventing or treating healing from burnout is self-awareness, self-knowledge. Invest in that time in yourself. Nobody knows you better than you. Sorry, I'm not sure what Kate's doing. Oh, she tried to lift the chair with her vaccine arm, and that didn't go so well because her vaccine arm is kind of not functioning well today at all.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we had an incident. Yeah, that's it.
If I hear her scratching at the door, I'll let her in again.
Okay. Yes, there was one time when she locked herself out.
Yes, I do remember that.
That was a LOL moment. Yes. Physical health, taking care of your physical health. If you haven't had a doctor's appointment in the last year or so, make one. Just go have get yourself checked, get some blood work done, kind of get a baseline. Eating, exercising, just sitting outside in peace and quiet, or doing some kayaking down the river. That's good stuff. Leisure activities, coping techniques. Learn different coping techniques because not every coping technique works the same for everybody. We all have our different things that work. As I've mentioned before, sometimes, listening to Rage Against the Machine as loud as you can get it safely for your ears is a great way to cope with intense emotion.
And I heard someone the other day, I think I was in the room and they were talking, the person was talking to you and she was saying, I'd like to learn some new things to try, because I've done mindfulness inside and out, upside and down, and now I need to find some other things that are helpful for me.
Yeah.
And that was somebody that was recognizing that the usual coping skills and things that she or he did um, weren't working anymore. Not that they're not good, it just weren't working at that time.
For
So
that person. Yeah.
yeah, looking forward and thinking, okay, maybe I'll learn something new and try that.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, coping skills, if you have them, are great, but it's always nice I always like the idea of a toolbox with tools in it.
Yeah.
And you might have a few tools, already there, but it's nice when you got it really full of stuff, because then you can pick one this week and one another week, and
Yep.
Gives more variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I use the toolbox analogy too with clients. And I had a client a couple of weeks ago that said she needs a snap-on, big, red, multi-drawer toolbox. That's what she's striving for.
Yeah.
Yeah, the regular little hand toolbox wasn't
Yeah.
going to be enough for her, she felt.
Yeah.
She felt she
No.
needed a snap-on, big, red, lots of drawers
Yeah.
toolbox.
I always think of Tim the Toolman Taylor when I think of that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it comes out with its own little motor and wheels and 50,000 drawers.
Yes. 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 That would be a great toolbox.
Yeah.
One other thing is your support network. That is a very helpful way to prevent burnout, and just to, if you are feeling burnout, to help have your support network to help recover from burnout.
Yeah.
We all need a support network.
Yeah.
We all do. We're social, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And
I just think, again, just quickly back to the kayaking on Saturday, and Margaret invited me to be part of an activity that she does with her family and friends. And I knew some people there, but I didn't know all of them. And when my flipping over accident occurred, I knew right from the very beginning, even though this happened at the end, I knew that they were the kind of people that if I needed them, they would be there. And it was interesting, the last couple ahead of me, I could tell they were watching me off and on, like seeing where I was. And it was very calming to know, and soothing to know, as I was struggling to stand up, that they were going to be there for me. And they were. I mean, I got myself on my feet and I looked, and here they were coming around the corner. And even though I didn't know them really well, and I knew their names, but that was it. They were part of a safety net for me, who cared enough to go and check and see what was happening. And sometimes it isn't, just the people that are closest to you that can be your safety net. It can be just making friends with and having good relationships with a lot of different people. And you never know. I always think that the right people come into your life at the right time. Either they needed you, or you needed them, or you both needed each other.
Yeah.
And, to let those kinds of things happen. And coping from burnout or vicarious trauma or compassion fatigue, sometimes you feel like you are alone, but you're not. You have people around, and they're just looking for signs and listening for you to ask for help, or for them to, come and give you some suggestions.
Yeah.
And the more people we have in our lives that are healthy, caring relationships, the better we are for everybody, not just for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. And I think, like most of the topics that we touch on here, we could spend 5 sessions easy just talking about this and different coping strategies. I just think that it's probably something that we'll come back to.
Mhm.
Usually around the holiday season, that can be a pretty hectic kind of high stress time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll revisit it then. Um, I'm going to just close with our guided meditation. But before I do that, Violet, is there anything else that you wanted to add in regards to the conversation on burnout or vicarious?
Just one, I mean, and I think we've said it in different ways over and over. Burning out or experiencing compassion fatigue is the cost of caring. And it's not because you have something wrong with you or you're not good enough. Um, you know, if you are a caring, giving, kind, loving person, then it's probably going to happen to you at some point. And just, make sure that if you can reach out or, listen to people when they say, talk to you about it, because it's done out of caring as well.
Mm,
And everybody needs to be and feel the best they can. And it's yeah, I guess that's probably it. Um, it's the biggest thing is if you care for someone, even yourself, it can be, it has a cost to it. And as long as we're refilling it up, it's like a
Yeah.
gas tank. If we have a full tank to start and then it starts to get low, you want to put some gas back in it. And that's what taking care of yourself does. It refills your fuel tank. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You say such important stuff. Now, I'm trying to find, okay, here we go. Okay, so we're going to shift for a moment. And I just wanted to point to that painting right there.
Yes, I was watching her.
That is Nina Simone, and that's a painting that was done by a local artist here in Milford, Stacy Vino. I love it. I just had to put the camera. We won't do this next week, but I just needed to share that because she's gorgeous. Yeah, she's so empowered standing there at her microphone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Margaret's artwork is a reflection of diversity, I guess, and respect for diversity in a visual way. And she's creating a space here where we hope that anyone who walks in the door will
Yes.
see or hear something that
Symbol.
they connect with.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's the
and
goal.
it's a beautiful painting.
Yes.
So
Yes, she is. And we'll get some more up there too.
yeah.
Okay, so for the next, and you made it, Vida. You made it through.
I did. I haven't gone black yet.
Woo!
The curtain hasn't come down.
Okay, so for the next couple of minutes, you just need to just continue sitting and listening to me for a minute.
I
I'm
just
gonna
died.
Did ya?
Yeah.
Okay, you're back.
Oh, I'm back again. Sorry.
That's okay.
Good thing I'm still here.
Okay, so if you're comfortable closing your eyes, please do so. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, please find something that you can just picture stare at for the next minute or two. And just allow yourself just to settle into this space, the space that you're in. Hear the sounds in the room around you. Put all your stresses and your worries up on yourself. Just for the next couple of minutes, they'll be there waiting for you when you're done. And you don't need to control your breathing in any way. Just allow your breathing just to be natural. And as you settle into this space and your breathing may naturally start to slow down, begin to feel any tension you might be holding. Begin to feel that start to drain away from you. Feel any tension start to drain away from your eyes, your face, down through your neck, your shoulders, and down your arms. Feel any tension drain like a liquid down through your body and out through your toes. Now begin to feel your body fill up with love. Imagine a loving white light entering your feet, traveling up to your body, your stomach, to your chest, and your arms. Feel it almost bursting through your heart and through the crown of your head. And when you feel embraced in that love, silently repeat the following words to yourself. May I be free from all harm. May I be safe and protected. May I be free from all suffering. May I be healthy and strong. May I be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Now turn your thoughts to this vast world, this huge earth with all its living creatures. Continue to feel that love bursting through your body as you silently say, may all beings be free from all harm. May they be safe and protected. May all beings be free from all suffering. May they be happy. May all beings be free from all disease and physical pain. May they be healthy and strong. And may all beings be able to live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and with ease. Send your love as far out around the world as possible. And just imagine that energy traveling through the air. Continue to feel that love centered around your heart. Feel yourself in this present moment, in the now, feeling the weight of your feet on the floor. And when you are ready, you may slowly open your eyes. Bing!
Uh,
I
you
didn't have
forgot
my
your,
I didn't have my tinctures.
ah,
I had to do an artificial bing.
there. It was lovely.
And Vida, I meant to draw attention and compliment you on your awesome Black Sabbath shirt. I meant to do that at the first.
Oh, yes. I know. I surprised you
You
with my,
do. It's like I can't wait to see Vida to see what shirt she's gonna wear today. Every time I see you, you've got
yes. I have a new outfit.
you do. Yes. So I look forward to well, I'll see you before next Wednesday. But
Yes.
I never know what you're gonna wear. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll conclude for today. We've gone over as we usually do, but thank you so much for staying and watching. Please subscribe, like, send us comments, send us emails. We're always up for that. So,
Hmm.
and thank you for sharing, Vida. And
Oh,
any closing words?
I don't think.
Okay.
Just enjoy the Olympics and any other things you have going on.
Okay. Okay. And I just want to say, take care of yourself and take care
Mhm.
of each other and be well. Be safe, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.